morning.
Good morning.
Today we have a very interesting halakha and also a very interesting Derech Eretz class. We know that when it comes to berachot, whether they are berachot hanehenen, whether you are blessing on food, or whether they are berachot mitzvot, you are blessing on tefillin, on tzitzit, and lulav. We know the rule is that when you take, for example, let's say I have a cup of water over here. When I say the blessing of shahakol niya b'dvarot, the halakha says you have to be able to go out and drink it right away without any interruption. Or whether when it comes to the berachot of tefillin, talit, anything else, you have to do the mitzvah right away. However, we're going to see something very interesting today, that when it comes to birkot Torah, do you have to really learn Torah immediately right away after you said the bracha? A person said, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech olam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvot v'tzivanu al divrei Torah, v'arevna asher b'charbanu. He said all the three brachot, and then he didn't learn Torah. Was those blessings in vain, yes or no? Says the Shulchan Aruch in Siman Mem Zayin in Halacha Tet, Yesh Omrim, there are those that say it's interesting that the Shulchan Aruch went with this Yesh Omrim, She'im hivsik ben birkat Torah lilimudo, ein bikach klum. That if a person interrupted between the blessing of the Torah to the learning of the Torah, he did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. What happened? He didn't do nothing wrong. Rabotai, says the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah says, why is that so? How could that be? He says, it is not comparable to other berachot, where it is forbidden for one to interrupt between the blessing and the mitzvah. Why, Rabotai? He says the Shani Hach over here is different. Rabotai, listen to what the Mishnah Berurah says, one-liner. The mitzvah lahagod yom v'layla. The mitzvah to learn Torah is day and night. You could never, ever take your mind off Torah. So therefore, whenever I bless the bracha, even if I don't learn it right away, nevertheless, I'm still coming back to it. I'm never free from ever learning Torah. I have an obligation to constantly learn Torah. V'im ken, he says, and if so, le'olam leika hasech da'at. I never have a situation where I take my mind off. But Rabotai, when it comes to other mitzvot, when it comes to other berachot, shahakol, hadam, ha'etz, once you take your mind off, you lose it, because who says you have to do it then? But when it comes to Talmud Torah, the mitzvah of Talmud Torah is on us every single second of the day. Not like we think, Rabotai. Not like we think, Jack, we have 30 spare seconds. What do? Can you please tell me what we do? On our phone, Nebuch. Bittul Torah. And you guys think it's a joke. It is not a joke, Rabotai. That 30 seconds you just lost, and that's like talking. I promise you will regret it. In the next one, you will regret that you were on the phone for those 30 seconds. Jack, I have a bigger problem than this. I wish it was 30 seconds. Yeah? I wish it was 30 seconds. Like one time, Rabbi Yosef Zahor said on Sulah Shalishit, says you don't have people that they can learn 3 hours straight, correct? It's hard for them. So what do? They watch reels for 60 seconds, 30 seconds. Yeah? But Rabotai, at the end of the day, how many hours did you just waste? Easy 3 hours. So why not apply yourself and learn the real Torah?
Very difficult.
Very difficult. What's not difficult? Can you tell me?
Everything.
So, if it would be easy, everybody would be doing it. You got to push yourself. Rabotai, there are 3 things that are acquired only through suffering, and one of them is learning Torah. But Rabotai, the end result, what you're going to get out of it, you have to look at. You have to understand, everybody believes Talmud Torah keneged kulam. But nobody understands what the Talmud Yerushalmi brings down. Bittul Torah keneged kulam also. Rabotai, you put a person who does not learn Torah, when he's able to learn Torah and he does not learn Torah, and you put a guy who does avodah zarah, who sleeps with married women, who bow down to cows, number 2. Rabotai, they're identical. They're the same thing. No. Yeah, what do you mean no? It's a biur halakha and Simon Kuvnun Hey. Look it up. Don't say that, friend. Don't say that right now.
I don't believe it logically.
It doesn't make sense by you. Nothing makes sense. You understand how our heart works? You ever understand how it's possible that you take a certain medication and all of a sudden it takes away your... You don't understand these things. We're not supposed to understand everything. We're supposed to do what Hashem says. If it were for us to understand how everything works, why? When would we ever start? Our Rabotai, our obligation in this world is to do what the Torah says, not to chas v'shalom question the Torah. And nevertheless, Rabotai, the Shulchan Aruch says, so what do we do, Rabotai? Nevertheless, the Shulchan Aruch says, v'anachon shelo lafsik b'nehem. Nevertheless, even though you did nothing wrong if you said the bracha and you didn't start learning Torah, because it's placed on you every single day, every single moment of the day, nevertheless, he says that it's correct not to interrupt between them. Therefore, he says, "V'chen nahagu lomar parshat birkat kohanim samuch libirkat Torah." That's why we say the birkat kohanim yivorecha Hashem yishmerecha right after the blessing of the Torah. In the Sefer Vein Lamamichshol, it speaks about over here, Rabotai. I mean, when I look at this halachot, Rabotai, I say to myself, do you really have to say this? But yeah, you do. Rabotai, you know why? It's just, there's one rabbi, Ronan Takshiv. There's one rabbi, when they learn Torah, Takshiv, when he learns Torah, he always has somehow people always walk into his room just to see if anybody is there. They don't even knock. They never knock. And that Jack, that rabbi, what's funny about the rabbi, he says that room became a zoo. You know why a zoo? Because when they walk, how you ever go to a zoo, you want to see, take a peek, where's the animal? You look. Why people don't knock no more? People forget what it means knocking. Look what he says, Rabotai, look what he says over here. Yesham anashim, he says, you have people, shemargishim shebeit chaverechem hu kimo beitam. They feel that their friend's house is like their house. V'lachen marshim hem la'atzmam leftok et hadelet haknisa shel beit haverechem lelo reshut. Therefore, they allow themselves to open their friend's house without any permission. Or shepotchim et hadelet v'sholim. Or what do they do? Ilan, better yet, like this. What do? They open the door. First, they open the door, and they say, "Efshar likanes, can I come in now?" You already opened the door. Rabotai, Babu Maisas. What's wrong with feeling comfortable? And what if she's getting dressed, the woman of the house?
She's on the second floor.
How do you know that?
We don't know.
That's a problem. Rabotai, v'yesh l'lamdam. We have to teach these people. Sheyesh b'minhag mechu'ar zeh. You have in this ugly custom, choser derech eretz. People that behave like this, Rabotai, you should know they have no derech eretz. They're lacking derech eretz. ואין לאדם לפתוח את הדלת חברו ולהיכנס ללא קבלת רשות. You should not open the door and enter the house without first getting permission from the owner of the house. ולכן, therefore, why? This is going to be hard to find. This is going to be very hard. Listen what he says. ולכן, therefore, יש לו לדפוק. Let him knock on the door. Chick. ולהמתין בחוץ. And now he has to wait. Wow. Something we cannot do in this generation is wait. Nobody has... We have to get everything instant gratification. Unless until he gets permission from one of the people in the household. That's it. That's what you have to do, Rabotai. Also, you're lacking your modesty. Maybe somebody in the house is not dressed properly. Maybe the wife of the house, her hair is not covered. Maybe she's walking in shorts or in jeans. How do you know that? Maybe the guy is walking in underwear. How do you know that, Rabotai? But Rabotai, he says over here on the bottom in the footnotes, he says, who do we learn this out from? He says, if you look into Masechet Derech Eretz, in Parakeh, he says, we learn this out from HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. He says over there, Sha'amad al Petach HaGan, Hashem was standing by the entrance of the Gan of the garden. V'kara lo l'adam, and he called Adam Harishon. Shenemar vayikra Elohim el ha'adam vayomar lo ayeka. When Hashem called out to Adam Harishon, he said, where are you? So Rabotai, you see clear over you. You have an obligation to wait outside. You can't just, barge into the house. But, Rabotai, we speak of this is for every, a regular person, a person who's ignorant. This is what we have to do. But what happens if he's a Talmud Chacham, Ronan? What happens if he's a Talmud Chacham, like I mentioned earlier, and he walks in without derech eretz? What does that show about him? Look what he says. This is not normal. He says, Ula matzinu b'yalkut. In Vayikra, Kol Talmud Chacham, any Talmud Chacham, she'en bo dat, that does not have dat, understanding, nevela tova himenu. If you have a dead carcass, you take a kosher animal, take a kosher cow or sheep, slaughter him the wrong way, that's called nevela. Treifa is where you slaughter him the right way, but he has sickness on the body. Nevela it has the highest tumor, Rabotai. You become tam from nevela, not from treifa. He says, Rabotai, that the Talmud Chacham who behaves like this and he enters into a room without knocking, without waiting for him to be allowed to come in, you should know nevela tova himenu. A animal which was slaughtered improperly is better than him. Of course he's not a Talmud Chacham. Just because you have a beard and a white shirt and a kippah and peyot, what makes you a Talmud Chacham? Today you have Rishaim that are Talmud Chachamim. What's the problem? Look like. Thank you. Yeah, not the. Thank you, Ronan. Ata tzodek, Ronan. Now what do I mean? Asher, listen to what I mean, Asher. How many times have you seen people, and maybe not you, I'm just saying in general, heard of people, religious people, right, with peyot and beard in strip clubs? For example, on the beaches, dancing in mixed parties. How many have you seen this? Plenty, correct. Everybody who tells me, Rabbi. Ephraim, you want to hear something? Somebody called me and says, Rabbi, why you never spoke about the belly dancer that was dancing in one of these restaurants? So how am I supposed to know there was belly dancers dancing in one of... How you know about it? I saw it. Why are you there? Rabotai, it's sick. You have people with kippot standing over there. Rabotai, do you know the gain these people are going to have?
Nobody's bothering
to bother them, correct? Rabotai, this is it. You think these people are Jewish. These people are not Jewish, Rabotai. They might be Jewish. You should know. They might be Jewish, Rabotai. But, yeah, they're working. Yeah, I hope you can. Rabotai, they might be Jewish. You should know. But in fact, we should know there's a very big problem with this. Because of this is called Machtiyat Rabim. It's a very big Chil Hashem. By Chil Hashem, you should know, even Yom Kippur will not atone. It will not atone. Today, Rabotai, you have religious people. They could be presidents, they could be board members, they could be, I don't care who, Rabotai. They could have money, hundreds of million dollars in their account. And they do these kind of weddings, mixed parties, you should know. Rabotai, just because they were a keeper, don't think they're religious. Everybody can act like Purim. Everybody can put on a good act. Just because I look religious on the outside doesn't mean I'm religious in the inside. Don't get fooled by this, Rabotai. We follow what the Shulchan Aruch says and not what the rabbis do. Again, I'm not speaking about any Chas v'Shalom rabbi. We have real good rabbis, Rabotai. We're not speaking about these people. I'm speaking about that if you see people that they go against Hashem and they are in these places, you know what Rav Meir Eliyahu says? Says something beautiful. Do you know why they're there? Could be only one or two reasons. Either because of kavod or either because of money. Why they're there? Why don't you go to anybody else? Why wouldn't they go to anybody else that doesn't have money, that does not support them? They're afraid to lose the funding. So they go out of respect. That is wrong, Rabotai. We don't do that. We don't give in, Rabotai. We don't budge in for them just because they have money. Ephraim, I have to find this Rashi. I really have to find. I don't know where. I do so many Baruch Hashem Gemorot. I just don't remember where this Rashi is. Rashi says something very fascinating. Listen what Rashi says. Rashi guarantees a person who has money and he uses the money the wrong way, like to make these mixed weddings, right? With the kippah and the rabbi come and he sings over there by the chuppah. All this is baloney, Rabotai. You should know in the end, Hashem is going to take every dollar away from them. And not from him, from his children. Hashem gave money to the rich people to support Talmidei Chachamim, to support B'nai Torah, to bring out Hashem's name, not to Chas v'Shalom step over Hashem's name. How could it be, Rabotai, that you give your wife 1,000 one month, 10,000 the next month, 100,000 the following year, 10 million in 10 years, and she uses that money to sue you tomorrow and divorce you? Is she normal? We say she's a bad wife. Rabotai, I'll tell you that's a bad Jew. Where a person gets money from Hashem and he doesn't use it, and he doesn't use his funds properly and uses it against Hashem, Rabotai, in the end, Hashem will take every dollar away. Don't tell me now, oh, Rabbi, we see people, they're successful. Rabotai, it's not the end of the story. Let the book finish. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen. Amen. Rabbi Chanan ben Akash Omer Tzak Baruch Hu.